What is up, guys? NYKF31 here, bringing you another Madden Football 101 installment. I'm going to be going over a couple of things in these clips. Mainly, I'm going to go over pocket formation protection, moving around the pocket, and all of that good stuff, and talk about some things that I'd like to see cleaned up and done better, hopefully, as soon as Madden 16. Now, contrary to popular belief, you can negotiate a pocket in this game. There is a tendency for the pocket to form a little bit too linear at times, and this clip is going to show one of those times. Like, for example, here I have a three-man rush, and I'm running a run and shoot go concept against what turns out to be three deep on third and long. Flat read, outside release, and the option route here that I'm reading is being run by the slot. He has one of three options. He can either sit at around here, he can break his route off here, which I was hoping that he would do, and run a skinny post, or he can keep on going down the seam, which he decided to do. A little bit of a hole here. That's going to be a tough throw, which I ultimately try to make. But what I'm going to focus on here is the protection. When I ID a three-man rush, I know I'm going to get double somewhere. The nose certainly, and one of the two tackles, and it comes from the left tackle in this case. If these two guys are going to be double teaming the nose, and I slide protected to the left because I thought that maybe this guy would be coming in, so I wanted Ivory to go to that side. So with the center and the right guard double teaming, that means these two are going to double here, which leaves the right tackle one-on-one with the D end. I'd like to see a deep kick step here and try to ride him as opposed to, a little shuffle and engage. Because if I do have to step up, that'll give me a nice little lane to do so, but I am able to sense it. And Ivory's able to pick him up from where he's at, which allows me to move and get this throw off. The temptation is to bail to the left or right, but you don't really have to do that if you recognize what's coming and where it's coming from. I have no qualms with this and this, but I'd like to see more of a ride this guy out as wide as he can, or at least attempt to. I mean, not all tackles are created equal. Some are going to be better than others, but again, as I have been saying, allow them to make the best attempt possible technique-wise, and then allow the talent level to play out. If he gets beat, he gets beat. He gets beat here, but I'm able to sidestep and deliver this ball and actually see. One of my little house rules against the CPUs, especially on all Madden, is that I only go for user catches on situations like this. And I actually see some pretty good ball physics here. Brandon Cooks goes for the one-handed grab. You can live with that. And the ball goes tumbling down to the turf. Not terrible there. Again, a little bit too linear in this example, but you can see I was able to navigate around the pocket pretty nicely. Now here you get a really nice horseshoe. Both tackles give ground and ride out. I like to see, again, like I said, mentioned in the first clip, a more deliberate looking kick step as opposed to this shuffle here, but I can live with that when you have the effort to ride out the defensive ends wide like this. I got a nice clean pocket here. Double team on the nose, the 4-3 nose, or the 4-down lineman nose, and that leaves one man to handle the three technique defensive tackle with the back helping out. Now, as far as double team logic, Like, for example, what if, and this is usually the case, this defensive tackle here is more of a pass rush threat than this fella? What do you do? What options do you have? You don't really have the option to say, hey, I want you guys to double team that dude all the time. You know, in the real world, offensive lines game plan extensively as far as their blocking assignments, who they want to double team, if they have an elite pass rushing threat that they need to account for at all times, and it's drilled over and over and over again because it really affects the structure of the entire blocking scheme. And there's really no such thing as a dynamic, you know, user-controlled option to adjust blocking schemes in this game. So what you have here is correct schematically. Like, for example, if my center here, Mangold, goes to double team this defensive tackle, well, all this guy has to do is take a hard inside move and he's right in my face. If this defensive tackle is double teamed by this tackle, that leaves a defensive end one-on-one with a back. Win for the defense. If this defensive end is double teamed by my guard, all this guy has to do, here's my guard. If he's double teamed by my guard here, all this guy has to do is take a hard charge right up the field. He's already on the outside shoulder. He's going to have instant leverage, and he's going to rip right into my face. The best that we have is the ability to slide protect left or right, and that will allow you to cheat on a threat if you think you're overwhelmed somewhere. But I would like to see, obviously, something more dynamic than that, something deeper than that, where you have some kind of logic to account for the mismatch along the offensive line. And here's an example of what I mean by deeper blocking logic. This is going to turn out to be a four-man rush. A fourth rusher is coming from the slot. And without getting too technical, your basic blocking rules is to look man on, look inside, look outside. Along the defensive line, you know, this is decent here. I can live with that. Double team on the nose here. Now, I actually get bailed out by the Infinity Engine here a little bit. This tackle begins to slide, and he's got two guys coming at him. And when he opens up to the outside, the corner is going to be the first guy that he sees. This guy has to be quicker to recognize that and open up to account for this threat here. He's got no one on him. This is an odd front. He's got no one on him. Head up. There's no one to his inside once the double team is accounted for. He now has to look outside and pick up this threat here. If the Infinity Engine didn't screw this blitz up, it's not really a blitz, it's a four-man rush, I would have been on the world of hurt, because with this guy accounted for, if the Infinity Engine was clean, this guy is going to make a B run right at me because he's way too slow to pick it up. Now, obviously, you want awareness ratings to take into consideration as far as that goes also. As a matter of fact, I have a pretty good offensive line. Since I know I'm going to be throwing the ball about 40 times a game. And he's got an awareness of 83, so he should be, you know, fairly quick to pick that up. If we go back to it again. Instead of looking into space, you know, for this long. This one is so-so as far as the offensive line is concerned. I see some really good things on the defensive line as far as what they do. On the right here, you don't see nearly as deep a ride by the right tackle, but you see some very good hand fighting here. Now that I can live with. That's not bad at all. And here, Chris Canty just bowls my left tackle right into me. Just beats him with strength. Not as good of a you know, job by the tackles in the previous as in the previous clip, but the defense gets paid too. They're allowed to win. What I'd really like to see is this proximity pressure rattle the QB into making an inaccurate throw. Here I just got an accurate throw because Stafford was being Stafford, but really have that sense of disruption in your face, rattling you as the user and also your quarterback. The more composed quarterbacks, the better quarterbacks will be able to handle that. The less composed ones, not quite as much. Here's another example of the linear pocket that will creep up. This is a three-man line, but it's going to be a four-man rush this time up the middle. And it's only a three-step drop here, but again, I just don't like that, linear look to the pocket. This is just, one, two, three, boom. Incomplete, but this is what can create problems as far as being able to, negotiate the pocket, because here there's a very high chance if I do have to move, I'm going to bump into, some friendly fire. That's good. That's nice. And you got the double here and here as well. So granted, on a three-step drop, you're not going to ask the lineman to hold the blocks that long, but you'll see this also happen on 5- and 7-step drops as well, the linear pocket from time to time, which needs to go away. Here we have a crossfire blitz. Right, I see that guy creeping into the A gap there. I slide to, you can either pinch or slide to the right. I decide to slide to the right. You see him slant to the left, the guy to the inside backer to your right. And when this guy stunts to your left, my left guard rides him out really nice. Really like that. And this time my guard here IDs the threat pretty quickly, rides him out. That's really nice. And you have the linear, tackles again, but I can live with the blitz pickup. You seem to get this linear left and right tackle action on three-man lines for whatever reason. You don't really see this that much on four-man lines, but on the three-man line you get to see that, I think, more often. That's what I've been observing. But overall, good pickup, and I have a nice, clean line of sight, and I just hit the flat check down. So the interior threats were written out very nicely there. No complaint about that. I mean, you're gonna have animation sequences that are alike like this. I mean, it's a video game. You're gonna have, that kind of stuff. You gotta have animations in the game, and they're gonna trigger at certain points in the game, and sometimes you're gonna get two guys doing the same thing. Don't care. I just care about the assignments being picked up and guys blocking them as best they can.
I believe that because you got
Three-man down line, less linear this time. It's going to be a zone blitz. This is much better. Double team on the nose. Tackle's doing a nice job of giving me a nice clean throwing lane or step up lane if I need it. Guard recognizes his rusher, and Ivory does his job. And a nice pocket forms. Like to see that occur on a three-man down line a little bit more often as opposed to the linear stuff that we've seen earlier. But the coverage is good behind it. I have to dump it off to the flat again. And this is the very next play. I don't have some magic copy of the game, folks. I have the same game that everybody else does. I'm playing on all Madden, and my pass blocking sliders are at 25. It's not perfect. The biggest thing that they have to do, I think, is improve the depth of the tackles when they slide step and ride the defensive ends out more consistently, and also the physics interaction, and also tweak some blocking logic here and there against some zone blitzes and some fronts. But it's not nearly as bad as it's made out to be at times. And this is the problem with this community. When you show things that are being done well in the game, you're accused of quote unquote defending Madden or giving EA a pass. No, I'm just showing you the truth. You know? In this example, the tackles don't give quite as much ground and don't gain as much depth, but this is okay. There are other ones where we've shown that it was done better. Again, speaking to the consistency of the technique of the tackles. But there's plenty of room here to navigate and negotiate. I got plenty of time to let this deep out develop and hit it. Now here is a textbook fail that you'll see. Three-man down line, four-man rusher. The fourth rusher is going to be the inside backer. The left guard IDs him, but the right guard fails. He bogs down and gets discombobulated. Remember how I said that if, a guy double teams someone that he's not aligned to do so, an inside rush is all that's needed? That's what happens here because he doesn't do his job. So no, it's not perfect. You do get wonks like this. They don't happen a lot, but they happen enough that when they do happen, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, how come I got sacked in 3 seconds on a three-man down line, four-man rush? Well, chances are when that occurs, something like this happened. So we got to get those out of the game as much as humanly possible, along with, what I mentioned previously as far as the physics and some blitz pickup issues, as well as getting those offensive tackles to gain more depth. Now here is a textbook fail that you'll see. Three-man down line, four-man rusher. The fourth rusher is going to be the inside backer. The left guard IDs him, but the right guard fails. He bogs down and gets discombobulated. Remember how I said that if, a guy double teams someone that he's not aligned to do so, an inside rush is all that's needed? That's what happens here because he doesn't do his job. So no, it's not perfect. You do get wonks like this. They don't happen a lot, but they happen enough that when they do happen, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, how come I got sacked in 3 seconds on a three-man down line, four-man rush? Well, chances are when that occurs, something like this happened. So we got to get those out of the game as much as humanly possible, along with, what I mentioned previously as far as the physics and some blitz pickup issues, as well as getting those offensive tackles to gain more depth.